inside one of our new homes that are just coming on the market. And a lot of times I get questions related to kind of what is the process? What is it that you have to do to actually go ahead and have this home appear on a lot? So there's several key steps that just have to happen, and each step requires its own expertise, its own time, its own patience. I would say the first thing, of course, you have to find the parcel, and usually when you're designing for a parcel, there may be certain features about it that you want to highlight, certain things, especially in an urban environment, that maybe you kind of want to de-emphasize. So it takes a little bit of thought to just decide, okay, which home makes the most sense? Maybe on this one we take out a window or we add a window, something like that. And then the first step is really submitting all of these things called construction drawings and a site plan to the city for approval. And then they review it and make sure that the house meets all the guidelines that the city has set in terms of, are you far enough from the street? Are you far enough from the back alley? Are you far enough from the neighbors? Is the house too big for the lot? There's all those types of characteristics that need to be looked at prior to getting an approval. And so once the city has investigated all of that, we verify that utilities can be here at the home, because we certainly want to make sure we have water, electricity, and gas available. Typically after a process of submission and some corrections, we get what's called a building permit. At that point, we come here to the job site. We have someone who stakes out where the foundation goes, and we begin digging for our foundation. At that point, we have someone come to start digging out the foundation, moving out the dirt. Usually at that same time, since the equipment's already here, we also dig the lines for our water line, for our sewer laterals, and if we do have underground utilities, then that's when we would put in the conduits for things like our gas, things like our electrical lines, all that type of stuff. Next step at that point is to frame the house. So that's when the lumber packages arrive on site. And it's a little bit of a dance, because you're bringing in lumber and you're bringing it in at a rate so you can keep the house construction going, but you also need to find a place for your waste, a dumpster that can easily get in and out, so that as there's waste that piles up, a dumpster can get pulled out and a new dumpster gets put back in. So we frame up the house, and then once the house is framed up, we include the windows, we install the exterior doors, then we put on what's called wrap or Tyvek that basically waterproofs. It's a waterproof membrane, and then on top of that we'll put the siding, and we'll put on the roof, so that now at that point the house is completely watertight. In Indianapolis, we then have to call for an inspection, and an inspector comes out and just makes sure that we actually frame the house correctly. So the inspectors come in, check those out, make sure that what we have actually done matches what the engineered plans require. At that point, the walls are open, the interior is watertight, but the walls are open. We bring in our plumber, we bring in our electrician, we bring in our HVAC people, and then they'll do all the stuff that goes behind the walls, the plumbing lines, the electrical lines, things like where do all the light switches go, where do all the ceiling fans and the ceiling lights go. All of that stuff gets wired up. Our HVAC person, they have to come in. There's a bunch of calculations actually that go into how to balance your HVAC. So it doesn't just heat or cool the upstairs or the downstairs, but there's actually a balance when you have it turned on. The ducting gets installed either under the home, up in the attic, through the walls. It's really important at that point to have an idea of what our kitchen layout is going to be like, what our bathrooms are going to be like, because you want the plumber to put all the fixtures, the drain lines and all that kind of stuff where they're going to be in the finished house. So there's a lot of thought that goes into that process. You really have to have the end result in mind and almost work backwards to all these different trades. The framing and the plumbing, the electrical, the HVAC, all of those people need to know. You need to know what the finished product is going to look like before you bring those people in. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of costly redos, or you end up trying to kind of work around it, and a lot of times then the overall layout, the design, the plan, there's just not a good flow. So you really need to begin with the ending in mind. Once the trades are in, then there is a set of inspections that happen. The inspector comes back out to verify that the plumbing is done to code, there aren't any leaks. Same thing with the gas line, checks the electrical, make sure they use the right kind of wiring, the right kind of box. The HVAC, again, whether the right type of system's been installed, the right type of ducting, insulation, all that kind of stuff. And then assuming that all of that passes, then we're ready to start wrapping the house up. We bring in insulation. And certainly in Indiana, you have super hot times of the year, and you have cold times of the year, and then you have beautiful days like today. By code, there's a certain amount of insulation that you have to have in the house that in the summertime helps keep the conditioned air in and the heat out. And then in the wintertime, helps keep the cold out and the heated air in. And then we do the sheetrock. We have smooth walls. Again, a little bit more expensive, but something that our buyers really enjoy. Same thing with our ceilings. Some people will still do the stamped ceilings, but we've just found, again, for most of our buyers, that clean, contemporary, just brand new feel, the smooth ceiling is really, really attractive. So there's a little extra skill involved in making sure that the walls themselves are smooth before we bring in the painter, how we do the interior doors, the people who then build our staircases, do our trim, our doors, all that kind of stuff. Those things are put in, then we bring the flooring guys in, we bring the cabinets, the countertops, all get installed. Then we bring everyone back. The electrician comes in and installs all the lights. The plumber comes in, puts all the fixtures in place, the faucets, the drain lines, helps us set the tubs, puts the shower heads in, hook up the dishwasher, all those kinds of things. The HVAC person then comes in and hooks up the AC unit, so now we have heat and we have air conditioning. Of course, we wouldn't be done without the cleaners that come in, and this is often an overlooked thing. You really want to have a good cleaning crew that can come in, they kind of know what your job sites look like, and then really just fine-tooth comb, clean everything up. If we haven't pre-sold the home that has been customized for a buyer, then the house goes on the market. Shortly after that, we'll have found the next new legacy homeowner.